Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video on this very warm, sunny day in Newcastle. We have got a lot to get through. Who would have known that losing 4-0 against Celtic on Saturday wouldn't be the worst thing to happen to Newcastle United this weekend? Absolutely mental. Alexander Isak, Saudi Arabia, Trafford going to City, Eddie Howe's admission on the transfer window, Paul Mitchell interfering again, and try and finish it off with what the hell Newcastle are going to do next this summer window. And I'm going to try and find a positive spin somewhere, so hang around till the end to find out what it is. Be sure to subscribe if you are enjoying the videos at the moment. May well not enjoy this one. There is a bit of negativity to get into. But as I say, if you are watching the videos every day but haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so. And we will start off with that man, Alexander Isak. So as I say, 4-0 loss at the weekend was bad. And a big part of that started off with the fact that there was no start for Alexander Isak. No Alexander Isak and no Joe Linton. And I have to say, when it first popped up, I was thinking, is Eddie Howe playing a bit of a mind game here? Oh, we don't have Isak and Joe Linton, because that's what people are saying, nightmare or wake-up call. I think it's both of them together. It was awful. We didn't have Isak and Joe Linton, and it shows that we need to buy transfers this summer. I wouldn't put it past me, Eddie Howe doing that. Oh, we lost 4-0. This is a message to the PIF. You better sort it out. You better give us the money. But then from what Eddie Howe went on to say, and we'll come into it later in the video, I just don't think that was the case. Instead, he talked about managing minutes of the two players. Appreciate both of them have had, somewhat small injuries at the end of last season. So, okay, kind of getting that. And then it comes out at the end of the game to say that essentially Isak's head isn't in the game. The speculation has got to him, and I thought it would be better for him to stay at home. Now, Eddie Howe had a tough decision to make here, and it's not often I think I disagree with Eddie Howe, but I think he made the wrong choice. From what he said, he didn't want Isak to be sat on the bench getting papped, looking sad when he's had the speculation of leaving. But I think not being there was worse. Give him 15 minutes, get him on the pitch, get him to score a goal, get everyone cheering. And that was why I thought it was more along the lines of, I'm not going to play the star players, because then when we lose, I can say, well, we need more signings. But just the way it played out was just poor. And then to go on and say that Saudi Arabian talk has affected him, the Liverpool talk has affected him, he didn't use those exact words, but essentially saying that he didn't think it was going to be a good place for him to be at this game, it's worrying. Not a fan of it. For all intents and purposes, and as far as it counts from, what I have to say, he's not going to Saudi Arabia. It's just not happening. In what world would that happen? I appreciate people have said, and I spoke about this in the last video, we'll get Saudi Arabia to buy him for 200 million, then they'll loan him back. You'll give him the wages that he wants, and then we can still have him on loan. I just can't, it's not going to, I just can't see that happening either. If it did, and that was a loophole that we were able to get into, then great. But we've not done it so far. PIF have owned us for 5 years. We've not loaned a single player back. They've not bought a single one of our players. Why we suddenly do that for Isak, I don't know. And to add to that, fair enough, Premier League have got certain rules of what counts. If we try and sell them to the Premier League for 200 million, will they query the amount? If we sell them for 200 million, will UEFA sanction the PSR of it, because they don't like it when teams have multiple owners? So there's loads of, ways that it may not actually benefit us the way in that we'd wish it would. So, yes, the Isak stuff. If I have to get even further down the wormhole, it is, what's the PIF doing as well? PIF own Newcastle United. We have the best striker in the world. Surely we are pushing to, keep him at the club, give him a new deal. Instead, our sister club, brother club, whatever club, are trying to buy him. What? Why are PIF even entertaining these conversations? Getting these, because people are saying, oh, well, it's not, they haven't put an approach in, they're just talking about what a fantastic signing it would be to have such a great player in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I bet it would. I bet everybody in the world could say that. It would be great if I could have Alexander Isak on my five-side football team. But it's not happening. And all the... Yeah, is it the PIF? Is it just some bloke in the back room of Al Hilal who doesn't have a senior role, just like sending out links? Possibly. But surely Big Yas, he was offended that Liverpool were linked. Well, surely he's on the phone to his own bleeding football club going, by the way, can you stop there spouting about Isak? It's not helping. So, like, even that... And then again, you know, you start off, Isak didn't play at the weekend. And now we're down here going, and by the way, PIF, where's the training ground sponsor? Where's the St. James's Park sponsor? Like, it's easy to just unravel. But yeah, that was the Isak stuff. So let me know your thoughts on that one down below. Obviously, it led into talks on our what appeared to be the nailed-on transfer in Trafford is now going to Man City. And again, linking it back to the match, by the way, Nick Pope, and I am laughing now because I have to. Nick Pope, what is that man doing? All I can say is at least he got it out of his brain in pre-season and not in the first game of the season. Rushing out for that ball, like he's a professional footballer. Appreciate it was a long ball. It was wet, skid on the surface, whatever. Totally misses the ball. Long ball, if you've not watched the highlights, and I wouldn't if I was you, I'd recommend trying to totally remove that Celtic game from your brain if possible. Long ball over the top, bounces through. Nick Pope comes rushing out for it. Prime Neuer, and totally misses the ball, and they score. And everyone's going, God, get Trafford in. Literally that morning, reports are that Trafford has agreed personal terms with Manchester City. Essentially, Newcastle have taken too long. Burnley are sick of waiting for us to meet the estimate, and he's going to go. Bearing in mind, they want 40 off Newcastle so they could pay Man City 10 million of it. Now, is Man City going to offer the 30 million? Because Man City are losing out on 10 million, essentially. Fair enough, well, Man City will get them for 30. They've got them 10 million cheaper than Newcastle did. Well, yeah, but they would have got the 10 million of our 40 million. So really they're paying the exact same as what we have because we'd lose it out on 10 million they would have got. But I think Trevor's going around signing personal deals with anyone now. He's like, I'm sat in the house, Burnley's on pre-season tour, I'm in the house on the Xbox playing bloody dominoes, whatever. He'll go anywhere. He's signing personal deals with everyone who bloody asks now because he's sick. You could go the other way. Man City have come in and gone, yeah, we might be interested. But by the way, we're not really. But it might actually wake Newcastle up and get them to pay this money because we want the 10 million extra. I think there's possibly a very, very possible there's a case of that as well. We'll get involved because Newcastle will have to wake up and do the deal. And we'll come on to it in a minute of what's to happen next with Newcastle, but I agree on some line that Newcastle shouldn't just be giving in to the demands of Burnley. Oh well, we want an extra 2 million. No, like we can't keep pushing it. But we're going to come on to it in a second with regards to what Newcastle do next, paying the fees and getting deals done because it's tough, and I appreciate it. And it goes back to the PIF. I think the PIF are strict on what they believe is right or wrong. You know, Amanda Staveley just spent whatever the hell she wanted. You know, that was how we got away with it early doors. Amanda Staveley's now gone, and the PIF are far stricter on what they're allowing to take place. Amanda Staveley was fantastic for what she did. She got deals done. She promised people the world. She promised, well, reports are that she promised an Alexander Isak a contract. The reports are so did Paul Mitchell. And that's kind of what's bringing his name's particular back up into the conversation this weekend. So we will talk about that. We'll talk about what Eddie Howe had to say again, relating it back to that 4-0 loss, because it all comes from there. You know, if we'd won 4-0, maybe none of these conversations would have started. Eddie Howe's come out and spoken at the end of the game, as I mentioned, about the fact that he decided to leave Isak at home because that was what he thought was the right thing to do. He also talked about Paul Mitchell and spoke about the fact that he believed that Paul Mitchell really landed Newcastle in it as a plane flies over. Someone's jetting off on their sunny holidays. Who knows? Is that Isak sat in the window on his way to Singapore? I hope so. Yeah, Eddie Howe spoke about Paul Mitchell, spoke about the fact that, you know, it sounded like for us from the outside in that it was somewhat organised, that the deal had fallen out. You know, it's clear that Paul Mitchell wasn't getting on with people, came in and insulted the staff the minute he got there when he said, oh, it's not fit for purpose. You know, straight away, Paul Mitchell wasn't making too many friends when he got in, and I don't think that's the way Eddie Howe works. I don't think it's the way Eddie Howe does business. I don't think the pair of them got on. Did Paul Mitchell, in fact, get the final stabbing the knife in when reportedly Eddie Howe goes on holiday for 2 days, just like me, sits in the garden and goes, God almighty, I just need a week off. And Paul Mitchell rings up and goes, nah, I'm resigning, by the way. And Eddie Howe goes, no. And he has to go straight back into it, sort it out. Got his list of prospects. On that, like the Paul Mitchell stuff, I think it may be a while till the full truth comes out, but it's easy to blame Paul Mitchell this time around because he's not here. But let's not forget, we blamed him last time as well. When Paul Mitchell was here, we blamed him because he wasn't getting deals done. Paul Mitchell leaves, we blamed him because he left. So, like, I get it. I think Paul Mitchell hasn't been what, in my opinion, and sounds like a destructive personnel to have in there. It hasn't worked. I think, and I've mentioned this again, I'll mention it again, when I did my reaction video when Paul Mitchell left, I said that it's fair enough that it's exciting because it's Eddie Howe in charge. It's bit us in the backside, by the way, like, there's no questions asked about that, but I did say at the time, maybe it is a good thing, maybe Eddie Howe can do his own thing, but I said that in terms of foreign markets, foreign players, knowledge of the foreign markets, we've lost that. Like, that is just gone. He didn't make any use of it, by the way, when he was here. So, possibly made no difference whatsoever. But that was the point of having him. There was a reason he was here. And now that he's gone, we have lost that. And you know what? As much as anything else, maybe Eddie Howe not getting his summer break is... Because that... Ultimately, Eddie Howe sounded wounded. There wasn't like a, oh, well, it's going to be okay, and I'm going to do that for you. So bear with me, I will get there. But it didn't. Eddie Howe didn't come out in his interview and go, oh, well, you know, it's just a bit of press talk with Isak. He's fine, don't worry about it. He's going like, oh, no, we left him at home because it's affected him. Okay, Eddie, thanks for that. And, you know, Paul Mitchell, oh, well, he's screwed, we're over. Yeah, 5 targets, we've missed out on all of them. Don't know what, like, it sounded like a bit of a broken man, and I think that's probably what's hurt the most. You look to your club for, you know, again, people are jumping on it. We aren't getting the kind of responses from the club that we used to with Amanda Staveley, and again, 4-0 loss has just stemmed this spider web of just like frustration from the fans. I mean, it has been in there for a while, but it has kind of boomed in the last couple of days. You know, since Amanda Staveley left, you know, what's going on with Darren Eales? The Paul Mitchell stuff's just ridiculous. People are starting to question, like, where is Big Yas going to do a statement or something and just say, look, and I'll come on to what I think he should do in a second. But Eddie Howe didn't do that in his interview. He sounded a little bit down. He sounded like we hadn't achieved what he wanted to achieve. Now he's going off to Singapore, and there's a lot of work to get done. What we need is a bright smiling Amanda Staveley to walk in the door and just get the ball rolling again. So yeah, it was not a good weekend for Newcastle, but we'll jump into it now. Is what do we do next? What are the next steps? How do Newcastle? Where do we go from here? Well, for me, I have to say that I don't expect Newcastle, Big Yas, Darren Eales and Eddie Howe to suddenly start throwing out loads of positivity. It's going to be okay. But what we do know for a fact is that Eddie Howe has been honest in his points. He has been honest. He said that we had targets. We've missed those targets. The biggest trouble is we're shopping in a market where we aren't going to offer to pay the fees people are paying. We're not offering to pay the wages people are paying. We're not offering this. We're not offering that. Is this another lesson learned by Newcastle? And what we need to do is learn from that lesson before this summer window ends. because we cannot continue to go on the way we've gone on and expect to get deals done in a market where we aren't financially competing. Like, we aren't competing. Fair enough, we might be competing on Champions League. We can come and play with the best striker in the world. And, you know, in terms of an Elanga playing for Nottingham Forest, who didn't have Champions League, probably didn't. Well, the rumours were he was on like 20, 25, 30 grand a week. So even if you hire him 70, that's still more than double his current wage. He's going to play against it. Like, and I get it. We want players who want to play for us. We want players who will fight for the shirt. Elanga undoubtedly seems to be that player. And there you go. There's a little bit of positivity for you. We have brought in someone. We have strengthened the position that we've wanted to strengthen for about 3 years. So there's some positivity for you. But if we want to continue to fight in the same market we're in, unless we're going to go off to Italy and try and push for some more unknown players, you look at the likes of bringing a Bruno in. You know, 30 million for Bruno. WhatsApp chats today talking about this, talking about the fact that other teams have upped their game. You know, people are looking around going, Newcastle just bought Bruno for like 30 million. Where the hell are we? Where are our scouts? Why aren't we doing that? Newcastle have regressed. Other teams are out there fighting the good fight to try and bring in these good fights. God, I've been talking for too long. Other teams are out there looking to bring in players. And we're at a bit of a loss by the looks of it. Just kind of going, well, who did well in the Prem last year? Well, João Pedro was all right. The list, the 2-year list of players, we need a new list. And if we don't have a new list, we need to be prepared to pay the money. And that's what brings me back to Trafford. Do I want to pay Burnley 40 million for him? No. Would I pay 40 million for what is potentially, you know, a 21-year-old goalkeeper could well go on to be England #1 for the next 10 years? Doesn't sound too bad anymore, does it? And maybe that's what Newcastle should do and have to do to take it forward. The positive that I will try and end on is we have the money. We have the money. We just sold Longstaff for 15 million. So technically speaking, we could spend, and that's pure profit. So if we bought someone for, you know, 75 million this year and buy them on a 5-year deal, there's Longstaff, boom, first year sorted. Lloyd Kelly, 20 million. So you could spend £100 million player and the Lloyd Kelly fee alone would sort this year's worth of payment out. Again, this is why we've got to be better. Player trading, got to trade next year, got to trade the year. Like, you can't, but technically speaking, you know, just off their 35 million alone, you could look to spend 180 million this summer. As long as you make sure to back it up over the next few years with other purchases and sales of other players. They reckon that we had around 150 million to spend before those 2 players even left. So there's money there, that the money is there. What is stopping us from spending it? Is it Eddie Howe not wanting to overpay? I don't think it is Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe will pay 60 million on Trafford at this point just to get anybody in the door. Is it the PIF? Is it them who are trying to be careful with the PIF? Have we been scarred by PIF? Is it the accountants in the background that we don't see the face of? Is it Darren Eales? I don't know. The positives are the money's there. The positive, somehow, out of losing 4-0 against Celtic is a big fat wake-up call to go and do something this window. The money's there, the wake-up call, and hopefully just the push. Other teams have bought players now. I think we're going to be in a... I don't want to go to a lower level market, but we have to do something different. Because other teams who are willing to compete financially, willing to pay the wages, can offer Champions League football, can probably offer a nicer training ground, can probably offer a few things that we aren't doing right now, have gone in and bought those players. So now it's up to us to go and find alternatives. And if it is a Scalvini, and Atlanta want 50 million instead of 40, pay the man. Give them 50. Bring him in. We've already done good work selling Kelly, selling Longstaff, sell Vlachodimos. We've done a good work selling players for a change. Let's reward ourselves by spending an extra 5 million. Right, there you go. There's my somewhat positive end of the video. I certainly tried to make it a little bit more positive. And Tino's on his way back from training, just looking at my video. Because that's it. Isak will come back and play. Joe Linton will come back and play. Tino will come back and play. And there's players who didn't play at the weekend who will be back, will make us better. But undoubtedly we need to do more this summer. There you go. That was a long one. Thanks for watching, guys. Thoughts on Isak and Saudi Arabia. And on the PIF, like, yes, give them a ring and tell them to shut up, surely. Trafford, Man City, and what Newcastle do next. Subscribe if you're still watching 20 minutes later and you haven't. Loads of content coming out right now. Hopefully a lot more positive than this one in the coming days. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.